Ms. Maynard, nice to see you. Have you followed the treatment of the Winnipeg Lab documents over the last several years and the lengths that the Trudeau government has gone to keep them behind closed doors? And is it your assessment that this treatment follows the usual pattern that this government has undertaken in dealing with information?
I cannot comment on the process by which you requested those documents and the delays, but I can tell you that under the access to information regime, clearly we've been seeing increases in timelines to respond to access requests.
Filibuster.
So through the regular course of individuals and parliamentarians attempting to use the access to information system to access information, the government has, you have had to take the government to court. Is that correct?
In some cases, yes.
In this case, we have the full House of Commons issuing orders for the production of documents, and the government using judicial means to try and block the release of those documents. So the question is that consistent with your experience?
Again, I don't know what are being used or reasons to not provide the information to parliamentary requests under the privilege of Parliament. But under the Access to Information Act, we see the use of different exemptions, and also we're seeing delays in responding to access requests, whether it's related to this particular topic or other topics. We know that the system is overwhelmed right now.
Because there's so much
The government
corruption.
has claimed, the Trudeau government has claimed that they're open by default. That was a promise on them taking office. Is your experience that this government is open by default?
My experience is that there's a lot more that can be done with respect to transparency.
In other words, no.
How many complaints around access to information or the management of files has your office received?
According to, I'm sorry, about what topic?
On this, well, first generally, and then on this specific topic of these documents.
With respect to your study, we've received 14 complaints. And,
go ahead.
but with respect to the management of, so far, with respect to all of complaints, that we received over 4,000 complaints in the last year.
So in one case, there was an ATIP filed for information regarding the management of these files, and one department, the Department of Justice, said that they have the information, that they could have the information, they would release the information in 13 years. Is that acceptable?
I can't comment about specific complaints that we would be investigating at my office right now.
Is a delay of 13 years, hypothetically speaking, an acceptable amount of time for the government in responding to an access to information request?
No.
I can tell you that I've seen cases where extensions have been found reasonable because of the amount of documents that people are asking. But I don't know about the specific cases. It's a case-by-case basis.
There's nothing being
On
that
how
long,
many
honey,
occasions have you found yourself, acting on behalf of your office, in court with the federal government? How many times?
I think right now we have 11 cases that are active.
11 active. Do you know how many you've had since you've taken your office?
No, but I can come back to
commissioner?
you with the information.
Pardon me?
I can get that information for you.
Is it your belief that Canadians have a quasi-constitutional right to access information and that the government has a legal obligation to provide that information?
The Supreme Court has recognized that the right of access is a quasi-constitutional right. And yes, the government information belongs to Canadians. So unless there's limitation, exemptions, exclusions,
Like
that
national
information should be
security.
provided to Canadians.
Yeah, it should.
So we have a situation here where your office has multiple complaints.
4,000.
We know that there were orders of lawful orders of committee, lawful orders of the House of Commons, and that the Trudeau government refused those lawful orders. So Can we infer from that the government did break that quasi-constitutional right that Canadians have when their elected representatives are even being refused information that they have lawful authority to order?
No, because they're using
I've
parliamentary
seen
privilege.
cases where the information should have been provided, and other cases where the information was properly redacted. It really, again, depends on the cases.
Yeah, they can use many means to cover it
Is
up.
it your experience, Commissioner, that access to information is a priority of the Trudeau government?
At this point, I don't see it as a priority. We are asking for legislative changes. We are asking for changes within the system, and there hasn't been a lot of improvement.
Yeah, well, I would just say in closing, Commissioner, I appreciate the work that you do. Canadians share in your frustration, having had their elected representatives order the government on more than one occasion to produce this information, and the government illegally refusing that lawful order of Parliament. We share your frustration and work to get answers, as do you.
Yeah, and thank you, Barrett,
Okay,
for the
thank you.
questions.